Her smile shines as bright as the stars at night. Her heart is as kind as can be. She has the patience of a saint, but if you push her, oh Lordy. A straight talker is smiling. She's the salt of the earth. Make no mistake, she matters. Catch Smiley's story on a live stream. Oh boy, that girl can matter. Go Smiley. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. Make no mistake why she's here. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. Missing posters and stories of heartache and fear. She tells us all of the heartbreaking tears. She can sniff out the guilty from a mile away. If Smiley's on the case, then she's here to stay. She cares about these missing children. She cares deeply about them all. She speaks the truth with integrity. For the truth, she will seek it all. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. Make no mistake why she's here. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. Smiley's questions are like a heat-seeking missile. She's going straight for the bullseye. Don't ever believe you can fool her. She's too wise, man, she won't comply. She values freedom like the 4th of July. She values respect even more. If you want to earn a place at Smiley's table, watch the clock, it takes time for sure. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. Make no mistake why she's here. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. If you break her trust, you're done for. Trust don't grow back like grass. So don't give Smiley a reason to doubt you, or that friendship will shatter like glass. She's a damn good woman, that much we know. She puts in the hours to bring them kids home. If your child is missing, you want Smiley on the case. She is always willing and she gives so much grace. She's a Smiley, alright. She's a Smiley. Make no mistake why she's here. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. If you're guilty, you better feel fear.
Hello again. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. Hello, Millie. Good to see you. Mamaw, hello. And let's see. Yep, thank you for that, Millie. Oh, yep, we definitely want to put that up. Thank you so much. Denise, hello. Welcome. Everybody welcome in. Thank you for being here. Hello. Tabitha, good to see you, honey. Glad to see you. So glad you're here. welcome. You've been down. Let's see what you said. You've been down since. Oh my gosh, I knew we haven't seen you. Bless your heart. Many prayers to you, and I hope you're recouping. You know, I don't know about you, but I know when that happened to me way back when, and I had my open heart surgery and all the things, um, you know, and that was years ago, very unexpected. And I don't know about you, but I had a couple of complications, but it took me a year to even get back. And so I am so sorry that you've been down. If anybody understands that, I definitely can. I am so sorry. I hope you're doing better now. At least, getting on the mend. Hopefully they got you taken care of, and a little time away from this didn't hurt you at all. It probably helped you a lot, to be honest. Hi, Susie. Hello. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. Let me see. Let me get down to the bottom if I am. Suzanne, I'm so glad to see you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Yeah, and sending love and light to Denise. Absolutely. Absolutely. We all got to stick together and do that, right? Many prayers for getting well. I hope this whole next year is a whole lot better than this year. And I know we say that every year, but it just seems to get worse and worse and worse. And a lot more people, even that we know, have a lot of health problems and a lot of sickness and just a lot of things and a lot of worse things going on in the world. And so I really hope that everybody, has a better year next year, which is not that far off. We're almost at the end here. We're almost at the end. Let's see. Mine happened while shopping. Oh my goodness. Came home and put stuff away before I went to hospital because knew was gonna. Oh, bless your heart. Yeah, sometimes you want to get things done before, before things, if they're going to keep you, or you have a feeling. That's not good for us, though. That's not good, Denise. Don't do that again. You're lucky to be here. Don't do it again, honey. If you ever have a problem like that, make sure you go immediately. That's to anybody. I did the same thing. And then I sent my husband. I thought maybe I'm just sick also. I had been to the hospital already. I'm like, I just think, hey, Kimberly. I said, I just think I'm sick. And I was laying there, and my husband went around the corner to Sonic. I never will forget it. And I could barely dial the phone. And all I said was, get home. I couldn't even think. But yeah, don't put it off. You're very lucky. Very lucky. But welcome in, everybody. Thank you for being here. This is a case that I come up with. Again, Chuchi, she found it. She sent it to me. This happened in Utah, and it happened in October, evidently. And somebody was asking me a while ago on the comments, what was his name? His name is Micaiah Zachary Smith, to be exact. He was 31 years old. He is 31. He's alive. Ain't nothing wrong with him, except he's a criminal. He's a criminal. At first, this story is going to be a little bit wacky. Hey, Kelly, because at first, and it's some conflicting stories out there. I'm going to say this, okay? I'm just going to cover myself because I'm going to tell it like I know it and like I see it. But it's a little bit conflicting because they say he left his kids on the mountain, and there's some different things, and I will tell y'all in here. But they say in other parts that he was rescued, in quoties, with the children. And I went back to do my research, and I found where they did have a GoFundMe page. And it looks like either him or his brother put it up, but, he was arrested on horrible charges. I have them on my screen. The kids' faces are blocked out. I didn't do that. I had some with a little marker in it, but I found these where they actually blurred them out for me because I don't know how to do that. And looking at them, they just look like a normal family. Happy, healthy, a normal family. But this story is far from normal. And we're going to hear about it, and we're going to talk about it. And it is going to be triggering for some, maybe. It's not only disturbing, it's very heartbreaking. I mean, my Lord, I don't understand. We're talking about a father who took these young children. You see how young they are in the photos, right? He took these young children up into the mountains in the cold. It started to get dark. Some say he walked away, and then some reports say he was rescued as well. Maybe it was both. Maybe it can be both. I don't know. But imagine the fear of a child. A fear of a child in the woods, in the mountains. Especially when it starts getting dark. There's no lights. It's not warm. They say these kids was barely dressed, y'all. Now, where was the mother? I don't know. I don't even want to get into her today, right now. But I will tell you, he was rearrested again after this, and there was some abuse charges. I don't know who they were against. I'm just getting the story out. But the kids, they were scared. They had no idea why the one person that they trusted the most in this world would leave them behind or carry them up in the mountains. I mean, why? And then he tried to get away, allegedly. But their story isn't just about the crime. It's about the evil. And it's about the survival that them kids survived. It's about the truth. And finally, it's about the truth coming out. I am so glad that truth came to light. You can't hold the truth back. It could be years, but the truth is going to come out. The truth is the truth. I don't care how you look at it. And it's about accountability. Children deserve protection, not abandonment, not neglect, not abuse, none of these things, right? So why would anyone do this? How could you even think of doing something like this to a child is beyond me, but especially their own child. It happens. It happened here. So get comfortable, grab your drinks, your coffee, your snacks, whatever you have, hit that thumbs up. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it, and we'll watch some things. So we'll talk about it. And we're talking about this father. They say he's 31 years old. And he took his 2 young children into the mountains. And then walked away. He left them alone, cold, afraid, probably hungry by the time nightfall came. They were barely dressed, you know. I mean, can you imagine that? Just 1 second Just one split second. I've already talked more than 1 second in that breath. Just one split second being a little child and sitting in the woods wanting somebody to come save you because you don't know if your parent is going to save you, leave you, or what is going on. You don't know how you're going to get home. They didn't know their way around. And while these babies were terrified, he was possibly trying to get away. That's evil. Well, they got saved, thank God. This case is painful. It's infuriating. It infuriates me. All these cases infuriate me. You know? I try to stay calm, but that's a little bit hard sometimes. How does a parent abandon their child and expect no consequence? How do they do neglect and all these things and expect no consequence? You know, that's the thing. Why do they always think they'll get away with it? Look at his face. If you look at his pictures, again, Micaiah Zachary Smith, this is in Utah. He looks all normal. All of his photos look normal. Hey, Raymond, good to see you, honey. Thank you for being here. Sorry, y'all. I get choked up every time I talk. Every time. It never fails. But why would anyone do this? You know, it's evil. You know, and I get frustrated about this stuff. Some of these parents don't deserve kids. Children are a gift. But they always think they'll get away with it. Well, he didn't get away with it. Sometimes you're caught, sometimes you're not. But how do you live with yourself? This whole situation didn't start as an emergency. It started as a normal day, what he called a normal day, right? Or at least that's what's been said. The father wanted to believe it was a normal day, but it was anything but normal. He wanted everyone to believe it was normal. He wanted his small little children to believe it was a normal day. He told the kids they were going out to have this big adventure. Nothing unusual, right? Great father, anybody would think. Wow. How can a father take these kids and it's just so great, right? Hello, Daniel. Happy today. Oh, Sunday. I thought you said Saturday. Lord, honey. I'm like, well, I'm not the only one behind. It's my eyes. Thank you. Happy Sunday to you, my friend. Happy Sunday to you. But he told his kids they were going to have an adventure. It was no adventure. You know, they got out of that car. They got out of the car when they got there and they didn't know what was going to happen. They had no clue. They trusted their father. They loved their father, right? You know, your parents come with unconditional love. Kids are not thinking about they're going to harm them. That day was anything but unusual or normal or usual, right? When they got into the car to go, they just thought they were going with their father and having a good day and having an adventure and didn't know what to expect. These kids thought their father hung the moon, I'm sure. They trusted him. They adored him. They loved him. That was just going to be a happy, safe, fun day with their daddy. See, children don't think about danger. That's not what comes to children's mind. Even when they are doing dangerous things, they don't think about danger. So they wasn't thinking about being with their father and being in danger, especially as little as they were. Heck, kids don't think about that kind of thing. They don't get up thinking about danger or safety. Not really. It's just unconditional love. Unconditional love is natural. It's natural for kids and families to have that. So they're not thinking that this is going to happen. But again, they say they were dressed very lightly. Well, it gets cold up in the mountains. The more higher you go, the colder it gets. I know that. Anybody that's actually went up knows it gets colder. So as they drove there and they drove further away and further away, things might have looked, especially to the older one, a little strange. The back roads, the dirt roads, turning in the woods, all the mountains. But the children didn't question that, not even the oldest one. They did not question that. They didn't question that they were in danger because that's not what they thought or think. Any kid, it's not normal to think you're in danger with your parents. They didn't think he was going to harm them. Not in a million years. He told them they were just going on a walk. They were going hiking. And they were going to hike and have this adventure, right? Kids love adventure. All kids love adventure. Mine did. They still do. Yours does. Everybody gets excited about it. Hell, I love adventures. That's how he got them out of the car and to go up the mountain. Once they got on the tree line, the temperature started to drop. They could see more forest and stuff like that. And from what I'm hearing, like I said, it's two different things, so you'll hear two different things. I'll tell both of them. But what I'm hearing is he told them to stand right there and he'll be right back. Only he knew what he was going to do or not do that morning, I feel like, in my opinion. He took them, in my opinion, where they could cry and where they could scream as much as they wanted to until the cows come home. He didn't think nobody would hear them. This is the moment everything shifted. The moment the children realized something might be a little bit wrong here. They were already deep in the woods. I mean, I think you could find other places to take your kids, where they can scream and cry as loud as they want and let them have a good time and be kids. That's what I think. But the trees here was so thick, people could barely see the sky. There was no houses. There was no roads. There was no sound except the animals. When the animals moved in the bush, he told the kids, allegedly, stand right here for a minute. I'll be right back. Allegedly. That's what he said. A minute. Do y'all know how much a minute means to a child? Even if he wasn't intending on doing anything nefarious, a minute to a child for a father to turn their back and leave them right in the woods anywhere. First of all, it's crazy. But to a minute to them could be a lifetime. They started to feel uneasy. At least the oldest one. Hey, Val. Was he trying to hurt them on purpose? There's two different stories. One says he was rescued with them, which is not a lie. He was rescued with them. One says he took them intentionally to leave them up there. However, he was arrested. We're going to get to that. Oh, he's been arrested. Absolutely. Absolutely. Whatever it was he planned, it didn't go good that day, and it was anything but a normal day. But see, he looks normal. His family looks normal. I don't know. Don't ask me why the mother didn't go. I haven't checked that far into her. Why? There's really no sense to, right? To me. We'll get to it. But he told them, allegedly, he told them to stand there and right back. You know, they knew something was wrong, allegedly, when he didn't come back. Hello, looking for sunshine. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. But it began when he walked away, right? I mean, maybe, did he have to go use the bathroom in the bushes? I don't know. These are the things that were told. And you got to remember, kids are telling these things, okay? But at first, the children thought he was just stepping away to look around or, whatever. Maybe to find another path, maybe to get his bearings together. I don't know. Everything was okay with them. I don't think nothing when somebody says they're going to walk away from me, right? But look how little these kids are. Okay. When he didn't come back, allegedly it happened like if he didn't come back, that's when they started to cry and when things started to kind of slow down and hit them that he might not be coming back. He wasn't saying anything. His footsteps, got quieter and quieter. They couldn't hear him around there, allegedly. But that's when their panic set in. They say at the time, one of the children even screamed, "Dad, Dad," and there was no answer. Hey, Annabella, love you. Hello, honeys. So then they say another one again later called Dad. Still nothing. That was what first came out. They were standing in the cold. It was starting to get dark, and they were realizing the unthinkable. Panic started to set in. Starting to understand all of it, or trying to. They were just kids. But he was not there. Now, it says that one of the older children had to do CPR on, I believe it was the 4-year-old. There's one that's 4. And it said that their dad taught them to do the CPR. Well, if Dad was there, why was he not doing the CPR? You understand what I'm saying? What I'm putting down? You know, I don't understand. I know they started to feel uneasy. I can only imagine. I'll be back in a minute. Okay. You know, and then nothing. And then you call your dad. Dad. Nothing. Still nothing. Then it starts to get dark and it starts to get cold. Look how early it starts to get dark now. They didn't think he was coming back. The children were allegedly alone. Now he was somewhere up there and got rescued. That ain't a lie. Okay? But these kids was scared. They was confused. And you got one that's doing CPR on a 4-year-old or something. What? He wasn't trying to save any children's lives. Not his children. Not any children. He wasn't even trying to save a bullfrog that was up there crowing, right? No, bullfrogs don't crow. They say ribbit. I'll just say it. Lord, help me. But that's when the panic set in. You know, the father was already moving further away, you know, and he was trying to get gone, in my opinion. I do believe that he was trying to get gone. He was trying to get as far away as he could and leave the kids. I think he planned that, in my opinion. You know, I think it was premeditated, and I think he thought either animals or something would happen to them before, because he sure wasn't going to save them, right? He didn't do the CPR, right? How did they get stuck if he was with him? You know, time moves differently when you're scared. Minutes, they feel like hours. Hours feel like forever. For these children, what do you think it felt like? That moment, the forest, the mountains, all that terrain, they was in a world of fear. Some of it had cliffs. It showed the cliffs. They were there long enough. Cold, dark, long enough for the sun to set. It was abandonment, in my opinion. At that time, all them kids had was each other. They only had each other. Time passed, and as fear set in, at first, they stayed exactly where he told them to. Didn't move, stayed there. But he left them, and that's what he tried to do, in my opinion. Kids obey. They're going to stand there if you tell them to stand there a minute. Don't move. If you got good kids, he must have had good kids because they know how to do CPR and everything, which is good. Everybody should teach their kids that. But even when the parents doesn't deserve trust, children gives their parents trust. And unfortunately, at the same time, these parents, or this father, I'll stick with the father because the mother wasn't there, but this father don't deserve trust. He don't deserve nothing at all. Wait till you hear what all happened. Don't just take my word for it. But as the light faded and the temperatures dropped, there was a rescue team and the cops, because allegedly he was texting her on my screen, allegedly, so the story goes, and she somehow or another, there was a text message on there that said abuse or abandonment or neglect or something like that. But I guess she was telling him to bring them home. But anyway, when it got dark, I guess that's how she come to, whatever the text was, come to realize They needed to be home. They needed to be found. There needed to be a search party. They didn't know how to get down that mountain. They didn't know which path to take, and they didn't know how to get back to their car. They didn't know if he was coming back. They didn't know if he was okay. Imagine they were starting to get a little hungry and simply scared, period. Honestly. I imagine that they did, Raymond. I can't imagine, being that 1 minute happy, going on an adventure with my daddy, and then the next thing, this, right? But these little kids, they stayed together. That's the only thing they said that kept them grounded and kept them found, or got them found, because dad shattered them, of course. Wherever he was or whatever he was doing, he wasn't helping. But that led rescues to them because they stayed together. Okay? They survived because they didn't move too far. They were, I can't imagine having your little brothers or sisters out there and, maybe you being the oldest one or vice versa, whatever, it doesn't matter the ages. We don't know how they felt. I know they felt terrified. I don't have a problem saying that. But just think, they stuck together. You got a 4-year-old here. They could have run off in different places. They could have fell off the mountain, anything. If they say if they had to walk deeper into those woods or any of those ravines, they were rocky slopes, anything like that, they wouldn't have found them. They did see their tiny footprints once they got on them, and that's because they stayed close together. And when they started to get close to them, they heard them, because when they had no energy, these children, these little bodies, these little voices, when they had not much more in them with their little voices, they heard them cry out, and they followed the faint cries. Their little voices, the strength that they barely was hanging on to, actually helped the search team to find them. And thank God it did. The rescuers, the people that rescued these children, they were in disbelief. They said the kids was shivering uncontrollably. They say their clothes was way too thin and too little. It wasn't much clothes on them. They wasn't dressed for the occasion, for the mountain temperatures. The kids were crying. They were scared. They were confused. And one child kept asking, allegedly, why did he leave us? That's a question you should never have to ask coming from a child. I feel for the people who found them. I do. I feel for the police, the rescuers, EMS, all of them who searcher, anybody, volunteers, because it's heartbreaking. And when you come up on kids like that, I cannot even fathom how they felt. They were strongly struggling to save them all. Finding these kids wasn't luck. It was being urgent. It was being there on time. It was instinct. And it was a community that refused to let these children, I believe it was 3 of them, vanish there. 3. They say once the alert went out, two of the children that were missing in the woods was just about freezing. The body temperatures was off. It was crazy. And again, one of them had to do CPR on the other one. I'm glad they knew to do that. A child being put in that position could have freaked out and not even done it, even if they knew. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe they would just think, maybe the kid's sleeping, or maybe this, or maybe that, or it's going to be okay. They got into action. And the one child definitely saved the other child's life. And I'm pretty sure both, all of them saved each other's life. But thank God, because what if the police and the rescue team and all of that just didn't go? What if they said, wait 24, 48 hours? You know, what if? Thank God that didn't happen. About halfway up the ridge, a police spotted something in the dirt. And it was a small footprint, they said. And then there was another footprint, a side by side. And they say because they stayed together, that did help save them. It helped them find them. You know, the kids were together and they were still moving and they were trying to stay warm. That's what it tells me. You know, I don't know if these kids were ever taught any survival skills. Evidently, one was taught CPR, thank God, in their life. But I should say, in their little life, actually, is what I should say, in their little life, because they're just tiny kids. But what they stayed together, and unfortunately, nowadays, all kids, hell, all adults, but all kids should be taught survival skills. And not just because, you know, something is going to be evil done to them, not because their parents are going to do something to them. You know, they could get in a car wreck. They could, you know, be out and get a snake bite. All types of scenarios could happen, and everybody needs to know the survival skills, the regular survival skills in life. Young, old, disabled, mentally challenged, to the best that you can, because you never know what's going to happen. We don't think of these things, but we should be. You can never be too smart. As I always say, you can never have too much knowledge. Never. And you're never too old to learn. If you want to learn. But these searchers, they didn't give up. They said it sounded like the wind, the trees and stuff, until they heard this cry. And it wasn't a full scream. It was not loud, just enough to break the silence. You know, it said the searchers froze instantly. I would have froze too. I would have froze too. But they moved real quick. Thank God they did. And then they found them. Little figures, little children, kids, huddled up together. Cold, shaking, terrified, crying. And they asked, one of the other children asked, "Are you here to get us?" I mean, oh my gosh, that's heartbreaking. I don't know. You know, I heard they told them, "You're safe now. We've got you. You're safe. You're safe now." They wrapped them up in blankets and, you know, got them out of there, got them medical attention and medical care. And the father, too, they found him wherever he was. Let's just listen to some of this. Yeah, you see how fast they found these kids? Absolutely. In all of those woods and mountains. Why can't they find these missing kids? I don't understand it. So let's watch this. I put this one out. This is from TikTok, and I put this one out. Y'all are gonna have to look at their name. But it's a bunch of letters. But I put this out on my shorts as well. I shared it out. So, you know, if y'all are on TikTok, go over and sub up to this one. Let's watch this.
Had taken a video, and you can hear the little girl asking, "Are we going to freeze to death, Daddy?" Mind you, all three of these children barely had clothes on for the weather. Also, we find out that during all of this, the father had been texting the mother. He says, "Yes, the 4-year-old is exhausted. We're almost to the very top, but everyone is starting to fail and it's starting to rain. I'm getting tired of carrying 2-year-old. It's tough with 3 children and no second parent." Apparently, at one point, the 8-year-old also tried to turn around and go back down. And the father said, "No passage here. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing." The 2 youngest children remain in critical condition in the hospital. He's been arrested on abuse and torture charges.
So, y'all heard that. He's been arrested on abuse and torture charges. See, when they rescued them all, because in all honesty, they were all rescued. They found him, or he was there, or whatever. So in all fairness, they rescued them all, and they took them all to the hospital. And in my opinion, he still had everybody snowed. And not only that, you'll see pictures on Facebook if you go there. I mean, the wife is standing over him in the hospital room, doting, loving over him. He didn't do anything to save them kids, all to find out what he really did. That had to be a nightmare for her, right? But he was texting her all the way up the mountains. There's plenty of other stuff that's come out. Let me share this one.
Now to the other big story tonight, an 8-year-old doing CPR on her 4-year-old brother and asking her father if they're going to die. These are just some of the alarming details coming out tonight from charging documents that accuse Micah Smith of child torture.
So he is the man who was rescued along with 3 young children after hiking in some very bad weather and then having to shelter overnight in Big Cottonwood Canyon. 2 News' Natalie Wattis heard the Salt Lake County District Attorney talk about the charges being brought against him now, and she's joining us live. Natalie.
Smith is being charged with 6 felonies altogether. Those include child torture, as you mentioned, and aggravated child abuse after all 3 of his children ended up hospitalized after that hike.
This was, first of all, a hike. This is not recommended for children.
According to the charging documents, on October 11th, Micah Smith took his 3 children, who were 2, 4, and 8 at the time, on a 9-mile hike in Big Cottonwood Canyon.
This is a hike that led to, at a certain point, there are no more trails.
According to the police report, videos taken while on this hike show the children scaling a cliff and holding onto vegetation to make it up the mountain.
That experienced hikers from search and rescue themselves were injured in the process of trying to do it.
Smith said they neared the summit around 6 p.m. and then the weather turned nasty.
There was a drop in almost over 20 degrees of temperature. There was snow there was the inclement weather that was occurring, and there is a child who communicates that they're afraid to go forward.
One of the videos is alleged to show the 8-year-old asking whether they were going to freeze to death. The document says they attempted to hike down and took shelter at about 8 that night under a large rock.
Their clothing was wet. They did not have sufficient appropriate clothing.
The children are described as numb from the cold and scared. Throughout the night, both the 2-year-old and 4-year-old stopped or had trouble breathing and needed CPR. It says Smith taught the 8-year-old to do CPR on her own brother. When search and rescue found Smith, the report said he was behaving oddly and didn't seem to be concerned about the children.
This is about the emotional and psychological harm that can be caused. The way that he acted was in a depraved manner that caused emotional harm to the children.
All were hospitalized following their rescue.
The 4-year-old had to be intubated. They discovered that the child's body temperature was 17 degrees Celsius, which is 62 degrees.
The document states, quote, "The defendant's intentional and selfish act left his children in grave danger, with one of them dying and being revived multiple times and will never fully recover." Now, the DA stated multiple times this afternoon that these are all allegations at this point and that there is a presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Live in Salt Lake City, Natalie Wattis, KUTV 2 News. Back to you.
You know, I just don't even understand. It's very heartbreaking and it's very sad. He tried to, in my opinion, and everything that I'm getting, he did try to fool them. You even heard it in that news interview. He gave them different stories when they found him, right? He gave them different stories. I can't imagine anybody doing that to their children. I can't even imagine anybody taking children, that 3 small children up there like that. I just can't, I can't even wrap my head around that, you know, but they got them all out. They all went down to the hospital. You know, they were in terrible. Millie can tell you, she's a nurse or she's an ex-nurse. She can tell you those things are not good. I don't think he was coming back. I think you heard him say he tried to hide. The children were scared, alone, confused. One died over and over again and kept having to be revived. Thank God for that 8-year-old. Thank God the 8-year-old knew how to do that. But now, I'm assuming this is not fact, but what I just heard on the news, that child will never be the same. So I'm assuming it's possible that it could have brain damage. How long was it without oxygen? How long was it without air? That child, I feel, is only alive because of its sibling. You know, he got further away, the dad did, trying to get away. Obviously, he was hidden in some cave or some crap. I don't think he was ever intending on coming back. I think, in my opinion, it was premeditated. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know. Either way you can look at it, it's out there. Those reports are out there. But time, again, moves differently when you're a child and you're scared. The time passed. Thank God that the rescuers found them. Thank God. You know, what if they didn't? They found them. Thank God they found them all together. You know, I am so glad they did not give up because it was getting dark. A lot of times when it's something like this, in a situation like this, the police will call off the search. The rescuers will call off the search. It's too dark. It's too cold. It's too something. But they did not give up on these children. When the police informed the father, he had excuses. They asked him, you know, what happened? He didn't show any fear, they said. They said he had confusing stories. He had excuses. They said he changed the details of some things. They said there was things that did not make sense. None of this makes sense. I think he wanted them to think he was nuts and out of his head. But this man was not nuts, in my opinion. He was only evil. He tried to say at one time that they wandered off. I thought they were behind me. I went to get help. Police knew better. He wasn't smarter than the cops. He wasn't the smartest one on that mountain. And he wasn't the smartest one in the room when they questioned him in the hospital. Exactly, Millie, pure evil. Probably, Raymond. Maybe. Maybe. But the police knew. If he thought they were behind him, why didn't he turn around when he noticed and go the same way that he came? But he didn't check. He didn't turn back, allegedly. He wasn't lost. I think he was escaping. His behavior told the whole truth. The truth is the truth. It always comes out. If it didn't always come out and it wasn't the truth, he wouldn't be arrested for these charges he got. He left those kids on purpose. His kids. He abandoned them. And he tried to disappear before anybody found out or anybody could hear them, their little cries. He didn't realize a search party was going to come and nonstop, and they would be found. Man, if you're wanting to disappear, if you hate yourself, if you hate your family, if you hate your life, by all means, disappear. Get gone. Never come back. But leave these children alone. These children are innocent. These children ain't done nothing to nobody, and they're gifts when they're brought here to this earth. We can't choose our parents. He was taken into custody. Once he was detained, his priorities, his things he started talking about, he said all that changed. He said he tried to rescue the kids. The police did not believe that for 1 second, obviously. The kids, all three of them, thank God, was alive, but they're alive only because of the rescuers and that they ran towards danger when this father was running away, trying to get them in danger, in my opinion. And that's a fact. They're alive because an 8-year-old did CPR on one that kept dying over and over again, who you heard by all reports on the news will never be the same again because they literally died several times. They're alive because they stayed together. When they got him out of the mountains and they got the children out of the mountains and at the hospital or whatever they did, their investigation started moving real fast. They didn't slack up. I have to give these police kudos. Their investigation moved real fast. This happened in October. This is November. This son of a bitch has done been out again. And by the way, he's done been arrested again. I thought I put that one up, but I didn't. It is in the news. It is out there. He was arrested for DV. When officers arrested him, could you imagine how that mother felt? But I'm sure them kids felt relief. Oh my God. First of all, leaving your child out in a dangerous mountain terrain and exposed to the cold and all these wildlife animals, God only knows what, and one had injury and all this, that's criminal neglect. It was criminal neglect, period. You know, that's child endangerment. And it carries a sentence of jail or prison time, by the way. And what about child endangerment or child abandonment? What about child abandonment? That charge applies when a parent knowingly leaves a child or children, in this case, without any supervision or any intent to return. What he did was no accident. It was a decision. It was a choice. I hate it when people try to get out of their stuff knowing that they have a choice before they even get in stuff. But something like this is horrible. These things are all jail and or prison time. And, you know, what about the neglect? Heck, yes, it was neglect. Neglect was resulting from the risk of a serious injury, which one child had, that we know for a fact that one child had. One child died 2 or 3 times, right? You heard it. But neglect, it was because it was cold. They was not dressed appropriately. They was scared. They had to all be medically taken care of at the end. They were found in very hazardous, dangerous conditions. That just shows the severity of this. He gave false statements. They know now he gave false statements. Yeah, everybody, you know, is not like this. Some people try so hard to have kids. Some people do. They're a gift. And they should be treated as such. But since he gave inconsistent stories and all that, that's false statements right there. It's misleading the police officer. It's obstructing justice, the search, the efforts, delaying. He should be charged with all kinds of stuff. He may never get custody, or he'll get his custody taken away, or he look, in my opinion, y'all know Smiley's opinion, he should never be around any kids, honestly. He'll be lucky if he ever gets supervised visits, which I'm sure he will, because all the states, you know how that goes. probably supervise visits and try to get him to do these, unless and until he's in prison, right? But these kids should never be made to see him if they don't. He'll be lucky if these kids ever want to even see him again or speak his name again, even when they grow up. This is one I always say, you want to know, you want to this. They don't need to know. They were there. They lived it. These children will be protected. They're more than likely protected. I think they went to CPS, but they could have went to a family member by now. I don't know. But he'll probably get years in prison. And they ain't gonna like this. See, he'll probably be in protected custody too, because these judges and these institutions, these jails, they know nobody likes anybody that harms children. And he's got that on his back now. It's tattooed on his forehead, actually. If the judge sees this as reckless or intentional or malicious, and I don't see how you can't, but again, I'm not the judge. And there are different laws in different states, right? But I think this state's got it. Mandatory parenting, I'm sure, has already went on. I'm sure psychological evaluations have already happened. These courts will want to understand his mental state. I'm telling y'all, he's not mental. He might play mental, but he's not mental. He's evil, in my opinion. But I can assure you right now, these kids, wherever they're at, whether it's with family members or CPS, foster care, they're being protected. They will try their best to ensure these kids are safe because they know now, beyond the smiles, beyond the photos that's put out, beyond that fake bullshit, these 3 kids were never safe. These cases involving harm to children, they strike a deep nerve. And these judges know that. They're not immune to that. Children don't get to choose their parents, but they do deserve protection. What happened on that mountain? It wasn't a mistake, in my opinion. It was a deep, deep betrayal. Thank God the law found those kids. Because wherever he was at, he sure didn't try, right? Thank God they didn't give up. They didn't give up in those hours it started getting dark, or it started getting cold. They went on. These children didn't ask for any of this. They didn't choose it. They don't choose danger. Children don't choose danger. Children don't choose fear. And they didn't choose this parent who left them behind or got them in this situation, no matter how they got in it. They didn't deserve the neglect. They didn't deserve all the things he's charged with. Take my word or what I'm saying, whatever he's charged with, that's what he should be charged with. And more. But I tell you what, these kids did choose, as young as they were. These kids chose each other. They held on to each other. They survived together. They stayed together. And that's stronger than anything he ever tried to do. I bet these kids will forever, and I mean forever, until the day each one of them takes their last breath on this earth. I bet they'll be so close. I bet they'll be so protective of each other, no matter what. And that's even after they become adults. You know, we talked about courage. We talked about power of a child's will to live. We talked about what happens when communities, when police, when, rescues don't give up. They refuse to give up. Like a lot of these people could take some advice from these people right here. But if you take anything, and I mean anything from this live, let it be that these children deserve safety, and they deserve love, and they deserve protection. And when an adult fails them, we all can speak for them. I'm going to speak for them. Everybody else can jump off the bridge. But when it comes to these children, they need somebody who's going to speak for them and take care of them. Not having an idiot like this to act like a good man on the outside and be a monster on the inside, and the mother either to fall for it or allow it. I don't know which one. I'm not sure about her yet. I don't know. Again, I know that they tried to do a GoFundMe page, tried to be all innocent. And I know, however he got out, that he was arrested again. Y'all go look at his record. I don't have to sit here and tell you or deal with it. Y'all can do the same things I can do. Hey, Fly Girl. Hey, Sharon. Hello, hello. But we need more people who give a damn. That's what we need. We need more people in this world who give a damn. And you guys showed up. You always show up. I appreciate each and every one of you showing up so much. Being here for these kids, allowing me to tell my stories and speak my mind on this. It's my thoughts, my opinions. I am so passionate over these kids. Hell, even Katie Proudfoot told me that day I talked to her, you are passionate. Yeah, I'm passionate. None of these kids deserve this. None of them. And I don't know about y'all. Y'all might have black hearts. I have a heart. Okay? Regardless of what anybody says, I have a heart. And I can't stand to see a child hurt. Period. So this world needs more people who give a damn. And I thank you in my chat right now who do give a damn. Thank you to all of you. You're all Smiley Squad. And each and every one of you all means something to me. Good, bad, or indifferent. Ain't that what I always say? But you do mean something to me. And I love you all. I appreciate you all. The watchers, the chatters, the mods, the ones who check in on me, and the few that are real true blues. Real true blues. I appreciate you. You all can make a difference. You absolutely can make a difference. Thank you for being here. I'm going to close this out. And I'm going to go make Sharon's little video. Y'all watch for it. She sent me some pretty things she made, handmade. Love it. Love you, Sharon. I see you in here. Love you all. I'll see you in the streets. YouTube streets, that is. Y'all have a good evening.